It was a quiet evening by the Sea of Galilee. The sky glowed orange and pink as the sun began to set behind the hills. Jesus had spent the whole day teaching people, healing the sick, comforting the lonely, and telling stories about God's love. As the day ended, he looked at his friends and said, "Let's go to the other side of the lake." The disciples nodded and pushed their small wooden boat into the water. The waves gently rocked the boat as they sailed across the calm, glittering sea. Jesus was tired, so he found a soft spot at the back of the boat, laid his head on a cushion, and fell asleep. The disciples whispered quietly, smiling as they rowed. The stars began to appear one by one. Everything was peaceful. But suddenly, whoosh! A strong wind began to blow. Dark clouds covered the moon. The waves grew taller and stronger, splashing water into the boat. The disciples started shouting over the roaring wind. "Hold on!" yelled Peter. "We're going to sink!" cried John. They tried to row harder, but the storm grew wilder. Lightning flashed across the sky, and thunder rumbled like a giant drum. The boat rocked from side to side, filling with water. But through all the noise, Jesus was still asleep. Peaceful, calm. He didn't seem afraid at all. The disciples ran to him, shaking his shoulder. "Teacher, wake up. Don't you care if we drown?" Jesus slowly opened his eyes and stood up. His robe flapped in the wind, but his face was full of peace. He looked at the raging waves and said in a calm voice, "Peace, be still." Instantly the wind stopped. The sea became perfectly quiet. The dark clouds drifted away, and the stars returned to the night sky. The disciples stared in awe. Their mouths hung open. "Even the wind and the waves obey him," they whispered. Jesus turned to them and said gently, "Why are you so afraid? Don't you trust me?" They looked at each other, realizing that they had forgotten who was with them all along, the Son of God, who could calm storms with just his words. As the boat glided peacefully across the calm sea, the disciples sat quietly, thinking about what had just happened. They understood that even in the darkest, scariest storms of life, Jesus is always with us, and his love brings peace that no storm can take away. So whenever you feel afraid, remember this story. Even when life feels stormy or hard, just whisper a prayer and trust that God can calm every storm inside your heart.